this month we've been talking and stocking our chemical coatings, and as your local Lawson guy, I wanted to help you get the most out of each can. So let's talk about that. Best practices and time-saving tools and tips to help you around the shop. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Chris's Clips and Tips. I'm your local Lawson guy, Chris. It's good to see you again. Since we have been talking about chemical coatings this month, I figured why not take a couple minutes and talk about some best practices when it comes to the prep work, some of the tools and tips to help us get the paint put down, as well as some best practices when it comes to storing our paint. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And let's go ahead and talk about some prep work. Preparing our surface for paint is an important step that we don't want to overlook because it affects the overall adhesion of the paint to the surface as well as how the project looks once it's completed. So lightly scuffing, sanding, or abrading a surface like we see here is going to help that paint apply itself, and it's going to help that paint have a nice clean sheen once it's done. So once we're done sanding or scuffing, it's important to wipe and clean the surface using a surface cleaner or a prep cleaning spray like aerosol or some other type of solvent that's going to remove and clean anything out of that grain. Preparing our product is just as important as preparing the surface because a half-shaken can is kind of like drinking a half-shaken martini. It wouldn't do anything for James Bond, and it's not going to do anything for your project. So we need to really get that stuff moving. HSP, as well as all of the other chemical coatings that Lawson has, are very thick. So it does take a bit to get that product moving and get that BB moving in there. Sometimes it's going to take a minute or two of shaking to get that stuff loose. I'm not going to make you watch this for a minute or two. And there is one in there. There it is! I told you it was in there. And once that paint is shaken thoroughly, it's going to be ready to be applied. And now let's talk about some time-saving tools and tips to help apply this stuff. Your cone pattern spray nozzle is your workhorse and gets the job done when you're painting irregular shaped objects like handles, pipes, or something small on the bench top like you see here. But there are upgrades available. We have our fan tips, and here you see a vertical fan pattern. This is awesome when you're painting the side of a piece of equipment or you need a thick coat of paint down in a short period of time. Turn it sideways and you have a horizontal fan pattern. And this is great for when you're painting the side of a building or you need to cover over some graffiti and want a few lighter coats. And don't forget your spray handles. These are time savers for sure. And you want to feel good and not have paint all over your hand at the end of the day. So those are some cool tools. And before we get spraying, we'd want to remember our PPE. Eye protection, respiratory protection, as well as hand protection are all important facets to our personal safety, especially when it comes to using chemical coatings. And don't forget that your local Lawson guy has you covered for all your PPE needs around the shop. Then we start spraying. It's important to make smooth, even passes starting before and ending beyond the area to be sprayed. Those smooth, even strokes will get that paint down and looking nice. There it is. Well, our paint's down and our project's looking great. Now let's keep in mind a couple things as we finish up. HSP from Lawson Products is just that. It's high solids paint, meaning you're actually putting more enamel and more pigment down on the surface. So be patient, give your project a little bit more time to dry. It's gonna look great, I promise. Now, when we're clearing the tip, make sure to hold that can upside down and hold that tip or the trigger down until it's spraying clear. This is going to avoid any clogged tip or frustration when you go grab that can again to use it next time. And how are we storing our aerosols? Are we putting them in a place where there's direct sunlight or high heat? Putting our cans in an area that's going to be cooler is going to keep that shelf life extended, helping you save time and money down the road. My name is Chris. I'm your local Lawson guy. I wanted to say thank you for joining me for another episode of Chris's Clips and Tips. And I look forward to seeing you next time where we dive into Lawson Products' line of fasteners.